Today's guest is Miss Debbie Debonaire. Her story, Debbie has transformed her life to become a beacon of light to help others suffering in adversity, fear, severe lack of self confidence, and self esteem. She attempted suicide 3 times, overcame extreme clinical depression, and prolonged mental domestic abuse. So she knows what it takes to take back control and transform one's life. Her story is one of extreme courage and focus that has resulted in mastery. Debbie brings solutions, inspirations, and change, guiding women from negative life patterns to triumphant transformation and empowerment. Based in UK, Debbie, through creation of the HeartAct approach, works with career women with families who struggle with the basic essentials to success, self-confidence, self-esteem, mindset, and emotional mastery. Welcome, Debbie. We're so glad to have you.
Oh, thank you, Tamara. I appreciate me, giving me the time to be on here.
So, wow, you have accomplished a lot. You've overcome a lot. So kind of tell us what kind of led you down this path.
Yeah. I'll take you back just a few years. When I failed my third attempt at suicide, I had a bit of what we call an oh shit moment, pardon the French. And it happened in the middle of the night. In fact, it was 2:00 in the morning. And my son, who was then 8 years old, was next door asleep in his bed. My ex-husband had gone. And I woke up in the dark, clutching the neck of an empty wine bottle, fully clothed, as you can imagine, in a state on top of the bed. And I just got the horrible dread that I was an unfit mother. My son could have come in at any time and found me in that state on top of the bed, fully clothed. Now, what happened next? I can't ever explain it properly. A vision, a ghost, an apparition, whatever you want to call it. But my son appeared right here, right in front of my face. And it was the look in his face, the tears coming down his face, even though he wasn't actually physically there, that started me off my transformation, that brought me to the point where I could be and experience and the work I'd done on myself, I could then be here for other women to show them how they can take back control of their life, which is what I did from that moment on. I call it my one moment in time that took me away from suicide to be where I am today. And because of that, I created the HeartAct approach.
And tell us a little bit about the HeartAct approach.
Yeah, the HeartAct approach is an innovative process that marries holistic strategies, because I'm a qualified holistic counsellor, and it marries together the holistic strategies with the essence and inspiration of the theatre, so that it combines both worlds together. Because every day when we step out into the world, we step out onto our own life stage. We take our direction from whatever is happening in our life on that given day, and we perform in a way that we are that character in that day, depending on what's going on in our lives. And it's all about writing the script of your life that you truly want to lead, and not leading the life by somebody else's script. So it's done. I include in that something called the 9 pillars of emotional resilience. which strengthens an individual's emotional resilience, such as, there's optimism in there, there's focus in there, there's responsibility in there, there's acceptance in there, amongst others, self-management, etc. And I go through and use those 9 pillars in connection with the 6 areas of an individual's life. Now, obviously, there are more than 6 areas of your life, but I focus on the 6 main ones. So it's relationships, emotional, spiritual, career, finance, and the last one's escaped me. and I use the 9 pillars in the context of the holistic strategies and the theatre, to focus on the area in their life where they need the most guidance. And the HeartAct approach is actually split into 5 or 6 stages, because not everybody needs everything.
Okay.
So I have something called nurturing the crew. Nurturing the cast, which is your relationship with your children.
Okay.
I have another one that's called Masquerade, which is looking at current self and how you see yourself and how you perceive other people see you. And then we create that mask, and then we work through those perceptions and create another mask at the end of the course to see how you've progressed and see how your views changed about yourself and how you perceive other people see you. We do another one, writing your life script, which, as I said earlier, is, you writing the way it's a little bit like journaling, but a bit more in depth, on how you want to, live your life. And then there's another one called character building, and that's all about your relationship with others in your space. So whether that's a spouse or partner, whether it's a parent, whether it's a work colleague or a friend, and it's looking at the dynamics of all those relationships and how they are affecting the other areas of your life. So there's different kind of levels, and different durations depending on what someone wants to look into and where they want to move things. And they vary from 6 weeks to 12 months.
Okay. And so are these individual interactions or group or a combination?
They are all, apart from one, they are all individual because of the nature of what could transpire. It may not be comfortable to talk about in a group of people. I mean, I only do, if I ever do groups, it's only small groups anyway, maximum of 6. But experience has shown that a lot of what we cover is very sensitive, and therefore it's actually better for the individual to have a one-to-one. So it's one-to-one. It's 6 weeks, 12 weeks, or 6 months and 12 months. I think that's the duration of them. I've just rearranged some of them, so because some of them weren't long enough. Some of them were too long, so I've kind of pulled them back and stretched others out. And then the group one actually is an online retreat, which is set in an online stage. And basically it's looking at a lot of self-care. So it's meditation, it's self-massage, chair yoga, and just breathing exercises, relaxation exercises, muscle relaxant exercises. And that's actually for half a day. Okay. And some of the other ones are for half a day as well.
Okay. And so what is the goal for your clients after they complete the program, whatever their time frame dictates? What is your end goal for them?
Yeah. Because of, as you can imagine, the scope of what an individual is going on under or living in is very vast. You know, the tree has numerous branches. You know, the auditorium has many seats, and so it's very different for each individual. But the overall outcome is for them to be able to step out onto their own life stage as their own leading lady, back in control, living a life in which they want to thrive in.
Wow.
You know, so as I say, it's very individual. So what that means to one person will mean something completely different to another.
Right. And so do you do any type of assessment when your client first comes to you so you can determine what part of the play they need to be in?
Yes, I do. I do two things, actually. The first thing I do is I do an emotional archetype assessment. Okay. And what that does is it gives both myself and them an understanding of how they react to certain things because of the archetype that they are. And then the other kind of assessment I do is called the current life assessment, which looks at the 6 areas of their life and where they are in each of those areas, so that we can stop focusing on something that isn't necessarily the trigger, isn't necessarily the area in the life that's causing the issue. So by doing that assessment, we can see whether it's all areas of the life or whether it's only 2 or 3, or it might just actually be one. But that one has a ripple effect around all of the rest. So that assessment gets us kind of right in the center of what stage they're at.
Okay. Are there any times where it may be appropriate to bring other people in that are part of their lives into the conversation that you have with them, or no?
It is, and that's entirely up to them. You know, and that would be arranged for, you know, we talk about it on one session and we'd arrange that for the next session, especially when there's relationships involved. You know, they may think that the other person could do with being involved in what we're going through, you know, and even with children as well, you know, that they may want to bring their children in as well so we can work on that as well. And then even though they're not programs as such, but although they've got like a time scale for, you know, a kind of set fee, because everybody's individual, you know, if it's a 6-week duration, but after the 6 weeks they're not quite there because it's actually been bigger, or they've brought other people on, so it's going to, you know, take possibly a little bit longer, then that is an arrangement that we can come to as we process through their particular struggles that they, you know, challenges that they've got. It's all about flexibility, really.
Right.
You know, and they know, you know, right from the very beginning, we set everything out, we set the boundaries, we discuss, you know, what their expectations are, what my expectations are, and then we look at how the two marry together for them to get the best out of the process that they're going to be going through.
Right. And as you said, that you're a holistic counselor. So for those of our viewers who may not quite understand what that means, could you explain a little bit what you mean by holistic?
Yeah. The way I work, I look at the whole person, mind, body, soul, and what influences all those 3 areas for them. And when you do things holistically, it's coming from the individual. It's not me, you know, having a tick box saying, well, you know, you fit here or you fit there, because everybody's different. Right. You know, it's about bringing out that individuality so that we can work with that individuality to create the life that they want to live, to create the person that they want to be, so that they can, I can give them the gift of empowerment so they can step out in their true potential. And that's really what it's all about. I take from them what where they are at the moment. We discuss, we move forward. I'll give them strategies to use. They use the strategy. We come together, say how the strategy's worked, because not every strategy works for for everyone. Because we all learn differently. We all understand things differently. So I have kind of quite a wide toolkit, as I call it, or props, should I call them, that are there for people to use, so that when we look at the mind, it's not just your thoughts, but I don't work from the mind to the heart. I work the other way around. Hence why the HeartAct came into being. Mm-hmm. I work from the heart to the mind, because a lot of the time what we're feeling instigates what's going on in our mind, not the other way around.
That's interesting. So it starts here, not here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did a lot of research on the relationship between the heart and the brain, and how they actually call the heart little brain.
Okay.
It actually has a brain of its own, basically. So those feelings are the heart's thoughts, and it's very much because of the holistic side of it. And, when you mentioned, mind, body and soul, a lot of people kind of think, oh, soul, spiritual, it's a bit woo woo. And it's not, and it's getting them to understand that myth isn't, it's not like that. It's how they are, right? And it's going kind of deeper inside themselves to find the true inner self. And that's what I work on as well, so it's bringing everything together as a whole.
And that's so important, because especially as women, sometimes in certain areas of our life, we're killing it. We may be in our career, we're doing well, our boss is pleased, but then maybe not so much in our marriage, or maybe not so much with our children. And so that's important that we have the, wellness in every area of our life. This is why we're doing that series. So it's so good that you're working on the holistic.
Yeah, that's it. And because I work on the whole holistic, that's why I work on those areas of your life that are the most important, but are the ones that can very often be the chink in the armor. Be the missing link in the chain, because, you throw yourself into one area of your life and the other 5 suffer, or you throw yourself into 3 or 4 areas and there's 2. It's getting that balance, getting that, so that your well-being is the whole aspect of your life.
And do you primarily work with adult women, or do you do anything with, like, say, teenagers, late teens, or anything, or is it primarily adults?
It's primarily adults. However, I have worked with 16, 17, 18-year-olds in the past. And, I would never, ever, if someone came to me and we had the discussion, as long as they were able to make the decision, either by themselves or the consent of a parent, then and I could help them, then I would. But if I felt I wasn't the right person for them, and that goes for anyone who comes forward to me, if I feel I'm not the right person for them, then I would say so. And I know a lot of other people in the industry that I can move them to, because not everybody works with everybody,
Right.
And I think it's really, really important that you have those dynamics right between the person who is doing the transforming and the person being transformed, because I'm very authentic. I'm very honest, and I think that is why people come to me, because I will actually say, look, I'm not the right person for you, but however I know X, Y, and Z, I can put your name forward to them, have a chat with them. And I think that's really, really important.
That is, because it is a two-way street. You need to be comfortable with the person who.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there may be personality clashes for one thing, but also, I'm very experienced in the arena of stress, anxiety, depression, suicide, and other mental health areas. But there may be an area that someone is dealing with that I don't have experience in, and it would be very, very, very unprofessional and unfair of me to say, yes, I can help you through, when actually I would be doing them a disservice.
Right. And so I think, and you may have spoken to this before, so are there times through the process, like when you've done your initial assessment, you and your client have identified that these are the areas you want to work in, but as you get more in depth in the process, there are other things that you have to do to kind of supplement that assessment, because there's other things that didn't show up initially.
Yeah, exactly. And that happens all of the time. And that's just purely the nature of the challenge, the nature of the process they're going through, because a lot of people are in denial. So there'll be things that, I didn't tell my story for a lot of years. I was very much in denial. I lived in victimhood mode for nearly 30 years. 30 years plus, I lived in victim mode right from the age of 8. And, so a lot of people are in denial. And because of that, you have to build up the trust. You have to build up the rapport. And, other things then may come up. So when they come up, I'm led by the individual. So if something comes up that we didn't know was going to be there, we didn't know was there, or, we didn't foresee it coming up, then we have that conversation. Which direction do you want to go in? Do you want to look at what's come up, or do you want to carry on the course that we're going? I would say 9 times out of 10, because of what's come up, it needs to be addressed in order to go in the right direction, because otherwise it wouldn't have come up.
Right.
So it needs to be addressed in order for them to really sit, so that it clears the stage for them to step out.
So this is a very dynamic process. So this isn't like a cookie cutter, turn to page 25 and we're all at the same place, because we all deal with different issues. We're all overcoming different battles. Absolutely. This has to be a very fluid process.
Yeah, it has to be very, very individual. Yes, the basics are there because the basics work. So, what the basics do as well, it kind of gives us a journey if we keep, by keeping the basics there. But this is where the flexibility comes in, because everybody's individual. I've had a number of women who have gone through domestic abuse, and they have all dealt with it in completely different ways. They have all come out of it in completely different ways, because it's the nature of either the nature of the challenge or the individual themselves. And this is where the emotional archetype comes into play, because, you could have 3 women, 3 different emotional archetypes. So they'll deal with the same challenge 3 completely different ways, and it's looking at how to channel them in the right way so that they're dealing with it to serve them the best.
Right. That's great. Let me see if we have any questions in the chat. Doesn't look like we have any right now. So if any of our viewers want to connect with you and learn more about your services, how would they reach out to you?
Okay, you can reach out to me in several ways. You can go onto the website, which is www.HeartAct.approach. No, it's not. It's because I saw approach on the screen then. It's www.heartact.co.uk. And there is it shows all of the processes on there, all of the HeartAct approach. And there's a contact form on there as well where people can get in contact with me. You can contact me through my business page on Facebook, which is the HeartAct Approach. You can connect with me through Messenger, through my profile, which is Debbie Debonaire, and message me through Messenger, private message me, that's absolutely fine. You can go on to my LinkedIn, which is Debbie Debonaire. I've also got an Instagram account and a Twitter account, but to be fair, I use the others more predominantly than I use the other two. So that would probably be the best. They would be the best ones to contact me on. And you can always send me a message through my business page as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Debbie, for talking with us. This has been very, very good information. We enjoyed speaking with you. Any last parting words for our viewers?
All I would say is, if something in your life is not working the way you want it, you have the choice to change it. And my tagline that I have with the HeartAct approach is choose life, choose freedom, and choose you. Because you are ultimately in control of the direction that your life goes into.
Wow, those are powerful words. So again, thank you, Debbie, for joining us. This has been a wonderful conversation. This has been
Tamara.
Sure. The pleasure is all mine. And this has been Tamara Williams, Coach T at Measure of Faith LLC. And if you would like to know more about improving your wellness as far as your eating, please feel free to join me in my private Facebook group, Coach Tamara's Trek to Trim, where we're giving tips on how you can dive into desserts, devour carbs, and still lose weight. This has been Coach T, Tamara Williams, Measure of Faith LLC. Until next time, stay beautiful, stay powerful, and keep transforming. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. for another episode of Welcome to Wellness. Take care.